Good evening, brothers and sisters. In this video, I'm going to be talking about an internal battle that took me years to figure out what was the best option for me. What should I do? This video in itself was inspired by a video I saw on TikTok of a preacher, a pastor, was talking about the difference between being religious, following a religion, compared to putting in the work, the effort, the energy to having a relationship with Christ. And so we're going to talk about the difference. For me, in the past, I tried so hard to be religious. Not only when I was Muslim and practiced Islam, but also when I was Christian. And what I mean by that, for example, is when I practiced Islam, I prayed 5 times a day. I went to, the mosque on Fridays, in which are the days, where there's a sermon and the imam gives a speech and you pray together. I gave in charity, Ramadan, I fasted, and I did all of it. And I even at one point was studying Islam and was trying to be as knowledgeable as I could. And so I tried so hard to be that religious Muslim who knows a lot of stuff, and from the outside, if you saw me, you'd be like, oh wow, he's very dedicated. But internally, I was struggling. I was lost. When I was Muslim, I didn't fully believe that Muhammad was a prophet. I was struggling with what I read in the Quran. I was struggling with what I read when it came to Hadith, when it came to the life of Muhammad and the choices he made. I was struggling with accepting, are these choices that he made, are they good or are they bad? Was he the man that the people around me, other Muslims, were telling me he is? And for years, I had doubts until I finally left Islam. And then that feeling inside of me to where I thought, well, if you are religious, that means you're going to heaven. If you're religious, that means, you're a good Muslim or a good Christian. And so when I left Islam and became Christian, again, I was trying to be as religious as possible. Going to, Sunday service, going to Bible study, going to the church for different activities, dinners, and I was trying to be religious. And again, I felt this emptiness inside of me. I did not feel complete. I did not feel whole. I did not feel at peace. I did not feel joy. I wasn't happy. And it was only until I realized that being religious is not the same thing as having a relationship with Jesus. That you can be religious and do all the things that people on the outside would be like, oh, I'm really impressed. This guy knows his Bible. He reads it on a daily basis. He prays. He's doing all the right things. That is the easy thing to do, is to impress people. But having a relationship with Christ is much harder, because you have to be honest with yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to be responsible. Having a relationship with Christ, it includes action. It includes change, that you're trying to be a better person, a better father, a better husband, a better wife, a better son, a better daughter, that you're trying to improve yourself. And so it was over this past year and a half that my viewpoint changed to where I stopped trying to be that perfect Mormon. I stopped trying to be that religious Mormon that, memorizes the Bible, memorizes the Book of Mormon, that goes to the temple as much as possible, that does Bible study weekly. It's not that I wanted to stop doing those things, but I realized my relationship with Christ wasn't legitimate, wasn't real, that I was playing pretend. And so it took me about a year and a half of me actually sitting down and being like, Jesus, I want my life to change. Jesus, I want you to be in my life to where I'm not making the same mistakes as I did in the past. Jesus, I want you in my life to where before I do something, I ask myself, would Jesus approve? Or would he be saddened by the choice that I made? Would my choice be something that would make him cry and make him sad because I'm not being Christ-like, I'm not following the gospel? And so for me, I just want to tell you guys that I don't consider myself religious anymore. I don't consider myself as following a religion per se. I mean, I'm okay with using the word Christian. I mean, if it helps people understand my beliefs, like I'm fine with that. Labels can help kind of sort people in different boxes, and labels can help you understand someone's point of view and their background. So that's fine. But when it comes to me identifying myself, I wouldn't use the word Christian, but I would use child of God. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm Christian. I would say I'm a servant of Christ. Because for me, they're two totally different things. Someone can be Christian or say they're Christian, but they could be very homophobic. Someone could say they're Christian, but they could be very racist. And, the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan in the Deep South, they say they're Christian, but they believe in white power. And so people can claim to be Christian, but then protest the burial of soldiers who lost their lives, who are LGBTQ, whatever, the alphabet mafia, that you can say you're Christian, but you can believe and do really evil, mean, just hateful things. And that's why I step back from using the word Christian all the time. I would rather someone know me as, that's Stephen. He believes in God. He's a child of God. He's a servant of Christ. And if someone wants to say, oh, well, he's Mormon, I'm okay with that too. I think it's important that we focus on our relationship with Christ more than the label. Stop focusing on the label. Stop focusing on, do you impress the people around you? Stop focusing on, this is the checkbox of everything I have to do. Stop focusing on that. Rather, focus on your relationship with Christ. For example, how many times a day do you just sit down and talk with Jesus and share your honest thoughts of, these are my worries, these are my worries, these are my doubts, I'm having these problems, mentally I'm struggling. How many times a day do you sit down and tell Jesus that, hey, I'm struggling with depression or anxiety, or my heart is broken because this person that I loved walked away and they broke my heart? How many times a day do you sit down? How many times a day do you sit down and share with Christ those burdens? For me, that is more important than the label. For me, that relationship with Christ is more important than someone knowing, hey, that's Stephen, he's Christian and he's schizophrenic and he's saved and he's born and he's redeemed. I don't care about any of that garbage, those labels. What I care about is someone knowing me and saying, Stephen's a good guy. He helps the poor. He buys food for the homeless if he sees someone. He has given shoes, winter boots to the homeless in the winter. I've seen him at soup kitchens and food shelters, and I've seen him on the streets just talking with brothers and sisters who are struggling with addiction and sobriety and substance abuse. I care more about people knowing that that guy, Stephen, he's sincere. His heart is love, and it's pure, and he truly cares about the brothers and sisters around him. That is what I care more about, is can people, when they see me, do they notice that relationship with Christ that I'm working on? Do they notice the light, the positivity, the courage, the strength that Christ gives me? Do people notice that? And I'm not asking, do people notice that so I can be like, hey, look at me? Rather, I'm saying, do people on the outside notice my walk with Christ is what my life is built upon? Because my walk with Christ and my testimony could be the very thing that guides someone back to Jesus. And I've seen it to where, in AA meetings and in sober living places, that some of the best brothers and sisters I've ever met were addicts in recovery, and they had such a gentle, sincere relationship with Christ. And it was their relationship with Christ that I was like, I want the same thing. I need the same thing. And so your walk with Christ can very much be the thing that saves someone and gets them on the road to getting to know Jesus. But I just wanted to share this with you because a lot of times when people ask, I'll say, yeah, I'm Christian, but I like to be more specific, right? I like to really get inside of, not get inside, but I would rather people understand that, yeah, you can say I'm Christian, but I want you to see this. The steps that I've taken, the steps that I've taken to improve myself. Before, I used needles, I got high, I had sex with strangers, I was a drug addict, I was, addicted to sex and pornography, and, there was times where I nearly killed myself, and there was times where I nearly overdosed because of my drug use. And I want people to realize when they look at my life that when I look at Stephen's life, I see the presence of Jesus in his life. That's what I want people to notice. Not, oh, look at his bio in his TikTok and Instagram. He calls himself Christian and has a scripture verse in his bio. I don't want people to notice that first. No, I want people to see my life, and I want people to notice he has a relationship with Christ. Yes, he does. That's what I want people to notice first, because maybe that could inspire that person to be like, hey, if Stephen can change his life, that means I can too. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. Yeah, I'm not sure how many times I'll post again this evening, but in any case, I'll probably post a couple more times. So thank you guys so much. God bless, and have a wonderful evening. Peace.